Alright, hey everybody on YouTube, it's Wingnut, and today I'm working on something that's been bothering me for a while with the bike. As you can see, my Panniers are loose and they rattle. Now, as far as I can tell, I've got good contact on the bottom hangers, right here, and the contact on the top hangers, not so much. Same thing on this other side here and here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these off, and then I'm going to wrap some paracord at the top, just a temp fix to make sure that these don't rattle, because going down the road, if they rattle too much, these will loosen up and the bags will fall off, which has happened a lot. So go ahead, take these off. Now these Panniers are Kirk's Panniers from Kirk's, the previous. All right guys, all right, sorry about that. The camera died, so I wasn't able to get everything quite out. But basically you just unscrew this. I'm using this as my saddlebag as a seat, and what I've done here and at the top is I've done half hitches all going in the same direction for a wrap. And that, what happens is this is nice and tight, you know, tighten it each time, and it leaves this little ridge. Now if you went in the same direction, it'll spiral. If you go opposing directions, it'll create a solid ridge across the bottom, which I really don't like the look of that. And plus I don't want to like trap water in here, or debris where it can sit. This is a drain. This is paracord. It's not necessarily the best thing in the world. It's not the worst thing. I just happen to have a small amount of it. You know, paracord tools, something to cut with, something to, you can't even see the flame, melt it with, and then of course, you know, I have the, I can't remember the name of it. How many years was I in the military again? How many years was I in the Navy? Marlin spike. There we go. And I use the Marlin spike for when I heat the ends, like right here. I just mush it with the tip of this so I don't, you know, burn my finger. So fairly simple. If you want to see how to do this stuff, there's tons of YouTube channels. I'll show you how to do it. Weavers of Eternity is actually one of the better ones. And you know, just I happen to have a lot of paracord stuff, so this is what works for me. So now that we've got this done, let's see if it helps with the rattle. And I'm having to do this with one hand. So what I'm going to try to do is set this camera right there. I'm going to set this on, set this up. So now that I've got those hooked in, the ones on the bottom are on secure, and up top is secure. Now let's see. All right, it doesn't rattle anymore, so we know this works. Super simple, super easy, neat little tip, a little bit of paracord. And if you're doing any type of camping or adventure riding, I always suggest you keep paracord. I do paracord stuff as a hobby, so I always have tons of it. I got some of this really nifty reflective paracord, which I am tempted to put over here, but I'm afraid the exhaust might cause a problem with that. But with time, you know, we'll get more stuff done. Now, did I really need to do that? Well, no. I mean, it was fairly sturdy, and if you're checking your bags and you're checking your luggage all the time like you're supposed to, it's not an issue. I, however, don't like the rattle. And these Kirk's Panniers are absolutely phenomenal. I like them. I like them a lot. They're big. They're very well made. The aluminum welds look really good. This is coming from a guy who's been a welder for a long time. Very happy with them, and I'm very happy with the way that the previous owner set it up. In fact, changes I've made to the bike were things to make it more comfortable for my height. There is one thing. This box is mounted directly to these brackets, and the individual piece of luggage rack is actually gone, and this is taking its place. Now, down the road, nice CNC makes a luggage plate that you can buy that replaces your old plastic one, and I may put that on there and then attach this to that using the same type of nuts as you see on the windshield, these little rubber collapsible nuts. That way I can take this on and off for days that I don't need a top box, you know, if I'm just going to go do stuff. We'll figure that out as it goes. But what I'm going to do is, what I will do, since you guys are watching so far, is I'm going to take this one off. I'm going to set the camera up here, and hopefully you guys can see how I'm doing this, because you'll notice on the top, I've split them. All right, and that's just so it's easier, but this has got a little bit larger gap. I think if I do the gap at the bottom, this should come through just fine. All right, see you guys in a second. All right, so I've got about 8 feet of black paracord, which is really more than you need, more than enough. But we'll start this off right here. Try to keep it in the center. You can see where things are touching. So I'm going to do it this way. Over, around, and back through. I forgot the name of this. I want to say it's a clove hitch, but I could be wrong. But this is how I like to start my half hitch wraps. So I want these to go in the same way. So I'll bring this over, round it through. If you can see it, I'm bringing this through here this way. The sun's coming out. Now here I am in a shade tree. Alright. Yes, I know. Alright. Same direction. And the first couple wraps is not going to want to get tight on it for you. And then you can rotate it like so. Easy day. I'm having to sit down to do this, guys. I've injured myself pretty rough, and I'm having to take it easy and not get a lot of stuff done I need to get done. And it's aggravating me. My poor wife has to put up with me being in the house, not getting much done on the property. We have missed a couple days of school, which I don't particularly care for. But yeah, just gonna go through and do this, and I'm just kind of paying attention to where the contact marks are on here. So this might end up being a little bit in the way, but like I said, not the end of the world. So just going through, giving it a snug, and then pull back. When you pull back, it sets it this way, where this nice ridge, and hopefully you guys can see that. Like I said, I don't have a camera mount. I'm using my phone because my camera's dead. But it's fairly repetitive. Unfortunately, if you do it enough, you make it look easy. So I have done this fancy work or knot tying stuff with paracord 12 years now. I started doing this in 11 years. 2012 is when I started doing it. I had a guy I worked with that was into it pretty big, and it just became something that we could do while our students at the weld school were preoccupied because we can't watch Netflix and watch students at the same time. All right, so you see now I've got this bar in the way. There's a couple ways we could do this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to shift over and just restart my clove hitch, or my half hitch, as if there was nothing there. And because of that, and snug it down. Do not forget to snug it down. I cannot stress that enough, because when you snug it down, you make these ridges tighter. I don't know if you can see it, but I can't even get my fingernail into this paracord, which is good, nice and tight. Good and tight, German fit. Easy, easy, easy. Very repetitive. Usually get you a cold soda or a barley pop, whatever you want. If you got nowhere to go after, if you do this, you just go through and do this. An easy day. And if you mess it up, just undo it. It's straight. If you got larger gaps, if this side didn't had larger gaps than the other side did. So for this, when I do both of them, the reason the gaps are different is on this bag, the one I'm currently sitting on that goes here, it's been dented in. So we're going to try to fix that by adding these spacers, and when we tighten everything down, it should cause it to snug up. It may or may not work. Your mileage may vary. But now that that's done, I'm almost off screen. Just scooch that over real quick so you guys can kind of see it. I'm gonna call this good. All right, and then now I'm just gonna finish it with a double overhand knot, because I can simply snug this down, figure out how much I want to pull over, so I'm going to cut it right about here. So you can cut it too long, that's not a problem. You don't want to cut it too short. Grab my marlin spike and my torch. And I want this super hot, super melty. I'm going to take my marlin spike and just pull it over. And if you're really worried about it staying or the knots holding, you can always coat it in super glue. That's the stuff. But make sure you get like the really good, like super glue. There's Gorilla Glue is really good, but I like the original Crazy Glue. And it's got the picture of the guy with the helmet. I'm gonna do the same thing for the bottom. And I could probably do this neater than what I'm currently doing it, but I don't feel the need. This is an experiment. It may or may not work. So you can see it's done on nice and tight, nice and snug. The ends are melted. So now I gotta do the bottom. Now the bottom I have less space, so I'm gonna start like right here, and I'm just gonna go like right here. If you were doing this for like somebody's kit for them, I would actually measure and mark so your stuff's absolutely centered. Since it's mine and I'm just doing it for my own, this is what we're gonna do. So now we're gonna try this view and see if you guys can like that. When you have your ends like this, it's not gonna focus. You want to take your paracord and just pull it. Pinch it in your fingers and pull it back, and then you have less on that end, and just burn it. It's just easier to work with when your ends are nice and tight. And what you should do is you should not use your finger like I just did. but it works. So now we're going to go through, and hopefully the audio is coming all right, or I'll be doing a voiceover using my announcer voice. But you know, it is what it is. So I'm going to go right back here. You guys remember what I did before? Came back around and through, basically making an X, taking my bite and running in. We're not going to go into too much, and then I'm going to twist this whole setup to where when I start putting my knots, the ridges start right here. All right, so pull all of it through. This is the scrap from the previous one. So you see how as soon as I get started, it wants to twist. And it's going to do that for the first couple ones, so don't panic. And after you get that second one in there, it doesn't want to move near as much because now it's biting on. So we're just going to go through here. And so you notice that I'm bringing the cord this way and bringing the running end on this side and then pulling it through from behind. If I was to keep the loop on this side and run it through like so, you see how it no longer is wrapping in this direction. Now it's going this direction. So if I was to alternate with the loop on one side, loop on the other side, pulling through, it'll create a flat ridge that would go straight across along. I don't want to do that. It doesn't look right to me. So I want to do that. And you can run them in either direction, it's fine. But where you're making a loop every time on the back side. You're pulling this through. This is your running end. Pulling this through, you know. And then pull tight. You guys notice I am pulling tight. Like the camera is shaking because it's resting on the bike. I want this tight. I want it really tight. Because if it's tight, it's going to do its job. Now this isn't holding anything. It's not. All it's doing is just making itself into a spacer so my bags don't rattle. And I think in time I may put tabs here and here and here at the top, corresponding with it, like little 1/4 inch pieces of steel, or possibly some round stock, some smaller round stock, so the little L-shaped bracket that I have will hook onto it better. But that's just down the road. This is just an easy, affordable way. If you buy your paracord by the 100-foot hanks that you can, they sell them at Walmart, they sell them at Army Navy surplus stores. I always tell people get mil spec paracord, just because that's what I'm used to working with. So it's just what I'm used to. You don't have to. You can get the 440 cord. I just like 550 and up. Just me. But the 550, 650, and 750 cords have a little more wrapping in them, or a little bit more guts. And they tend to be a bit thicker. Whereas in your 450, 250, 350, and then it gets into micro cord, it's not as thick. But I like what I like. People like what they like. And what I have done is, because I can't see what I'm doing, I'll show you guys. I wasn't paying attention and I was flapping my gums, and now my setup started going all wonky. So let me undo that. See, look, it's no big deal. we got it wonky. We got it wonky. Just push on it, it unthreads. And then, all right. Now I can feel where it's kind of gone. Slightly pear-shaped. And people at home are following along with this, and they're like, "Aha! I saw when you did it." You probably did, and that's okay. And I'm just going to run this out. It's not going to be even. It's not going to be perfect. It's just a way to just keep the rattle down. Keep me from just being annoyed. Alright, so now we've got this on. This is already a fairly long video as it is. But it is what it is. I'll trim this up. And then we'll go from there. And yeah, I could have just simplified and said, do this. I figured I wanted to show you. So I got my torch, where I made my trims. And I'm gonna get this super hot. And I want it to start really melting because I want it to cure to itself. There we go. Easy peasy. Alright. Fairly tight. A little loose right here on this end. Like I said, I'm not too worried about it. 8 foot of paracord did both of these, top and bottom. So, top and bottom. So let's throw our bag on and see how it does. I may have yeah, still a little bit of a gap right here on this side, but everything else has got really good contact. Everything's threaded in tight. I said then this down below, but she don't rattle no more. Oh, so I think that works out. You know, if you guys ever want to see any other paracord type projects that have to do with the bike, feel free to ask. I mean, I'm a motorcycle channel. This is motorcycle related. That's how it's going. But yeah, all I needed was 16 foot of paracord. And earlier I was mentioning how much paracord costs. Anywhere between $8 to $12 for 100 foot. Or you can buy it by the 1,000 foot spool for a heftier sum. It could be any brand, anything. Just understand this is a wear item. So, you know, it will wear out. It will have to be replaced. But for right now, it works for me. And honestly, I think it looks cool. If I can find the patience later on, I'm going to wrap some of the... I just don't know. I really do want to wrap some of the reflective stuff. Like, this stuff is awesome. But I may not. I may put those on the front bars just for fun. We'll see. But yeah, about $8, a lighter, a sharp knife, or a good pair of scissors. You can do it yourself. Not a big deal. And you know, feel free in the comments, as always, email. Yeah, hit me up. Well, guys, it's been the Wingnut. Like, dislike, subscribe. It's on you. Have a good one.